Hi, this is Tom Stokel. I'm the Global Technical Lead for AutoCAD Product Support, and welcome to this session on User Interface Changes in AutoCAD 2010. This course is intended to give you an overview of some of the changes and enhancements we've made to the user interface in AutoCAD 2010. We'll look at the status bar, changes to the application menu and the quick access toolbar, some significant enhancements to the ribbon, and then we'll look at the file navigation dialog and the color dialog. There have been a couple of minor changes to the status bar in 2010. The first is that you can now always see the workspace you're currently in. You used to be able to get at this information by clicking on the workspace switching icon, but you had to actually expand it into a menu to see the workspace you're in. Now the workspace you're in is always displayed, and you can change it just by clicking on that and choosing an alternate workspace. And I'll change back. One minor thing to note, this AutoCAD Classic workspace is not necessarily available in all of the vertical products, but it is available in AutoCAD. Another change is this button that allows switching between model and paper space. It always indicates the space that you're currently in, so you can see I'm currently in model space. That should be pretty obvious. But I can select this, and it changes me over to the first layout and indicates that I'm in paper space. Once I'm in a layout, I can select it again, and it'll change me over to model space for that viewport. Select it again, takes me back to paper space. And so it always indicates the space that you're currently in. If you're in a layout with multiple viewports, selecting this button switches you to the viewport that last had focus. So let me put my focus up here. I'll switch back to paper space. I'll switch again. You see it puts my focus up into this particular viewport. One of the most noticeable changes to the UI in AutoCAD 2010 is to the application menu. This is the big red A in the upper corner. This used to be referred to as the menu browser button, and now this is called the application menu. When you click on it, the first thing you'll notice is that all of the menu items that used to be listed here down the side are now gone. The menu items are no longer available in this location, and now we've unified on the common operations that you would need from one application to the next. So you'll see new, open, save, publish. These are common operations that you'll see from one Autodesk product to the next, and so this particular menu should look very similar from one Autodesk product to the next. So those menu items are still available through the menu bar, but they're no longer listed here. In previous versions, there were menu items listed down here for showing recent versus open documents. And that's been changed to an icon here where you can change between recent documents and then a list of the open documents. There's also a new sort order in this list. So you can now sort by access date. And that'll put items in the list based on the order in which they were last accessed. One thing that I've noticed is that the pinning option is a little more reliable now. So the pinning option allows you to select one of the pins next to a drawing that's in your list. And then as your list fills up with drawings and certain drawings just fall off because you can only have so many in there, the pinned items will always stay in that list. In previous versions, that was a little unpredictable because I could change my sort order and then that pin would not display. And it may or may not still have been pinned, but it wasn't showing anymore. But now the pinning seems to be a little more reliable. Just unpin that. And most of the other sort options that are in here are the same as before. I found the search tool to be a little more complete and a little bit quicker. So for example, if I type explode, see it immediately starts showing me all the places where I can get at commands that are related to exploding and shows me where they are. So this is in the ribbon, here's for exploding attributes, and then various menu items below. It also shows the quick access toolbar. So if I begin typing sheet, for example, it shows me that I have a sheet set manager button in the quick access toolbar, and then here are other sheet set related options that come up. So I found that to be a bit quicker, and this will be a nice thing to use as you get used to the new interface because commands have moved and we've unified on the ribbon for the most part, but you may have to spend a little bit of time finding where things are, and this makes it very quick to find something. One last little trick about the application menu is that you can double click on it to close AutoCAD. So it is the equivalent to coming down and picking Exit AutoCAD, but if I double click on the red A, it exits AutoCAD. If I had any drawings that were open with unsaved changes, it would have prompted me to save those changes. The Quick Access toolbar has been enhanced with more functionality and is more easily customizable than it was before. And this gives it a more consistent look when compared with other Windows applications such as Microsoft Office apps. There's a new flyout menu here that gives you a list of the most commonly used commands that you might want, and makes it very easy to add or remove these commands to the Quick Access toolbar. For example, if I want a Match Properties icon up there, I can choose that, and now I have the Match Properties icon. If I don't want it anymore, I can just uncheck it and remove it. If I'd like to add a command to the Quick Access toolbar that isn't in this list, I can choose More Commands. And this brings up the CUI interface. And so I can just search for a command. Let's say I want to search for export to PDF because I need to do that all the time. I can just find the command and drag it up onto the toolbar. And now I have a command there whenever I need it. And one big difference between this and the previous versions is that it's very easy to remove commands from this. There's a right-click menu, and from this menu I can choose to remove any given command that I've right-clicked on. I can also choose to add separators, and that puts a little separator between those two icons at the end, and that separator also can be removed by right-clicking on it. From this flyout menu, you also have quick access to show or hide the menu bar. This is the same as if you were to type the menu bar command at the command line. So if I choose hide menu bar, then my regular menus are now hidden, or I can turn them back on. One option that used to be available from the Quick Access toolbar that is no longer there is the option to turn on toolbars. And now if you want to do that, you see there's no option here for that. So the best way to do that is either to turn on the menu bar and then pick Tools and Toolbars and then go select the toolbars that you want to see. Or you can use the CUI to add a toolbar to the current workspace. Another option that many people don't know about is the -toolbar command. From this command, I can choose to either turn on all toolbars, or I can give it the name of a toolbar that I want. So I put in layers and I choose to show, and now you see the layers toolbar displays up here. And I could use this command again to also turn off that particular toolbar. One of the really nice changes to the Quick Access toolbar is that undo and redo now have a history list that's shown next to it. So you can see a history of commands that you have undone, and then you also can see that same history list and choose to redo them. So let me give you an example of how that works. I'll draw a line, just some simple objects I'm going to add to the drawing. I'll draw an arc, and I'll draw a circle. So now if I come up to the undo button and click on the little arrow to the right of it, you can see a list of the different commands that I just issued. So if I want to just undo that last circle, I can just choose circle and it'll undo that. Or if I want to undo all the way back over the arc and the line, I can just choose the line and it'll move back through history and undo the arc and then undo the line. And then similarly, to the right of the redo button is a list of everything that I just undid. So I can put them back one at a time, or I could choose just to have it restore the line in the arc. So that's really convenient for kind of seeing what you've done and being able to move forward and backward in time in your editing. The last thing I want to show you is that you now have the ability to display the quick access toolbar below the ribbon if you choose. So you can get at it from this context menu on the flyout, or you can right click on any of the other icons in the quick access toolbar and choose to show the quick access toolbar below the ribbon. So if this particular workflow, is more comfortable for you, you can move it down to below the ribbon. The ribbon in AutoCAD 2010 is much improved over the previous version. This is the second iteration of the ribbon in AutoCAD, and it's seen a lot of enhancements in both functionality and performance. The ribbon now defaults to 3 rows instead of 2, and all the icons seem a little bit more concise and compact. One of the ways we achieved a better performance with the ribbon is the addition of a new system variable called ribbon docked height. By default, this system variable is set to 100. The ribbon docked height system variable determines whether or not the docked ribbon is set to the height of either the current tab or whether it's fixed at a predetermined height. So by default, it's fixed at a height of 100. But if you wanted to change that, you could give it a different value. We'll set this back to 100. So the valid range for the ribbon docked height system variable is between 0 and 500. If it's set to 0, the ribbon is going to always size itself to the height of the selected tab. Otherwise, it's going to fix itself to whatever predetermined value you put in between 1 and 500. Another improvement is the way we handle panels now when you tear them off from the ribbon. So if I select this draw panel, I can tear it off, and now it's floating separate from the ribbon. Now you could do this in the previous version. However, if you were then to change the ribbon tab to something other than the one that the panel came from, then that panel would vanish. What you can see now is that the panel stays there regardless of the tab that I'm on. And this is what we're now calling sticky panels. So this is really nice. You can pull down different panels that you may need and not have to worry about them vanishing when you move from one tab to another. And the sticky panel orients itself slightly differently. Now there's a little drawer here on the side. You can click on that to see all the other tools that are available for that panel. And then the drawer will automatically collapse itself. It's got the same options as the other one in terms of toggling the orientation. And of course you can just select to return it back to the panel with that icon. Now that the ribbon supports sticky panels, it makes it possible for you to pull off those panels that you use the most often and just kind of have them floating there. And then if you are hurting for screen real estate, you can collapse the ribbon using this minimize button. Select it once and it collapses the ribbon so that you only see the titles of the different panels. One more time and you don't see the ribbon at all. However, notice the panels still stay there. And you can select it one more time to bring the ribbon back to its full view. And I'm just going to go ahead and return both of these to their original positions in the ribbon. One new change in the ribbon is the addition of this Express Tools ribbon panel. This is something that was requested by many customers, and so most of the Express tools have now been given a place in their own ribbon panel. This isn't all of the Express tools. There's still a handful of command line tools that aren't included here, but this is the majority of them. Now let me talk about my favorite new feature in the ribbon, and that is contextual ribbon tab states. So I can demonstrate this easily by attaching an XREF. Let's choose this one. Now you can see that I have an XREF attached here, and I'm on the parametric tab of the ribbon. So I'm going to select this XREF, and notice what happens. I get a new contextual tab that pops up for external references. So this is a tab that will appear whenever I've selected an XREF, and it has your most common XREF operations. Now I'm not locked to this. I can still move over to some other tab and this contextual tab stays up there. And that will display as long as that object is selected. As soon as I deselect that object, that contextual tab goes away. So let me show you what that looks like in the CUI. Here I'll expand the ribbon, and then here's a list of contextual tab states. So each of these are predetermined operations that you would do, like selecting an arc, selecting an ellipse, selecting an image. And you can see that some of these already have contextual tab states applied to them. So here's the one we just looked at, external reference selected, and it displays the external reference contextual tab. You can change the display type of a contextual tab to either full or merged. Full is what it is by default. That's what we just saw. Let me show you what it looks like when it's merged. So I'll set that one to merged, accept changes. And now when I select the XREF, let me put myself over here on the parametric tab. Select the XREF. And the difference is it no longer changes me over to a different tab, but it merges in that contextual tab to whatever tab I'm currently on. And you can see the difference here between these and the other tabs because they have a slightly different color in their little title bar. The way merging works is it starts from the far right and collapses panels as many as is necessary to make it fit into the current tab. Give you another example of that. So let me come back up here, and I'm going to set this contextual tab back to full. And let's add a new one. So let's say I want to add a tab to whenever I select an arc. So I'll come up here to tabs, and let's say I want the Home 2D tab. So every time I select an arc, I want it to display the Home 2D tab. So I can select that, drag it down onto the arc, and you can see that this is now listed under arc selected. And I'll leave it at full for the moment to show you what that looks like. So now if I draw an arc and then select it, you see I'm looking at the entire Home 2D tab. Notice it didn't switch me over to the Home tab that was there. It just appended on the Home tab again. So let's look at what that would look like again if I had merged that panel. So come down here, select Home 2D, and I'll change its display type to be merged. And apply those changes. And I'll just put myself over here on the parametric tab. So now when I select the arc, it's merged the Home 2D tab into the parametric tab. And the way it's accomplished this is by starting from the right and basically collapsing each of these panels down until it can all fit on the current tab. All of the tools are still there. They're just collapsed down. So let me show you what this would look like on a much more crowded tab. In fact, let's go to the Home tab itself and see what happens. Now I select an arc. So again, it started from the right and it's collapsed all these panels down as far as it could until it could fit them all in. But you can see these are contextual tabs because they show the different color here, whereas when I get down to here, there's no color on that annotation tab. So that's the original tab on the Home tab. Using this new functionality, you could create your own custom tab of your favorite ribbon panels and set them up to be contextual tabs. Let me show you how that would be done. So I'll go into the CUI and let me create a new tab. We'll call this My Tools. And let me add a couple of panels here. I'll add the Layers panel to it. And And maybe I also want to see the Modify panel. That, drag that into the new tab. Okay, so now I have a new tab here that has the Layers panel and the Modify panel. So now what I'll do is add that to a selected state. So let me come here to this arc selected, and you can remove contextual tabs just by right-clicking and picking Remove. And now I'll grab my tools and drag that down to there. And that's pretty small, so I'll have it show as merged. And let's see, I'll do the same thing for a line. So I'll take this, drag it down, and add it to Line Selected. All right, apply that. So now if I select the arc, I have my custom contextual tab that pops up. As long as that arc is selected, when I deselect it, it goes away. Just draw a line, select the line, and I get the contextual tab state again. One thing to note is that when more than one object type is selected, the contextual tab does not display. So I select this line and it shows my contextual tab, but if I then select this arc, that goes away. Even though they're both using the same contextual tab, there could be a situation where the different objects have different contextual tabs associated with them, and so it just chooses not to show you any of them when you have multiple objects selected. The last couple of changes I want to talk about are subtle and easy to miss, and that's why I want to draw your attention to them. The file navigation dialogs, such as Open, Save, and I believe all the file navigation dialogs, now support autocomplete when typing file names. For example, if I start typing the name of some of the files in this directory, you can see that the list expands to show me all the files that are matching what I'm typing. And this makes it very easy to just scroll down and select something without having to actually scroll the list and find what you want. So if you know what its name is, you can just begin typing it and it'll automatically filter that list for you. Another change is that you can now set the color of a layer directly from the layer combo box. So if I select up here layer 0 and select on the color swatch, it brings the color dialog right up. So no longer do you have to go into the layer dialog to change a layer's color. You can do it right from the toolbar. And while I'm here, let me show you one other nice change. In the past, when you hovered over color swatches, it didn't show the arrow and it displayed with a white box instead of a black one. This kind of made it difficult to navigate and find the color you're looking for. But now the color dialog actually shows with a black box around the color swatch, and it shows the arrow. So it's a subtle change, but it's a long requested one. In summary, I've shown you many of the changes that we made to the user interface in AutoCAD 2010. I hope this overview makes you a little more comfortable working with this functionality and that you picked up a few new things along the way. So until next time, thanks for watching.